And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Flying can already be as stressful as hell, and now travelers also had to deal with this today. A 90-minute delay on flights after an FAA outage. According to reports, a corrupted file in the database caused a problem. Attorney Oliver Brown is here with us on The Factor Uncensored, and he is also a former commercial pilot. So, Oliver, when we took a look at what happened today, Senator Ted Cruz said totally unacceptable. We need to have congressional hearings about this. Was it that bad? We're talking about a 90-minute delay.
Well, 90 minutes doesn't seem... It could have been way worse. Let's start there, right? But what people have to understand is this system that went down is probably one of the antiquated systems of the FAA that need to be replaced. Through all these various reauthorization bills for the FAA, they've been updating certain parts of the air system. But I bet once they start investigating this certain system, that they're gonna find out that this is probably one of the older antiquated systems that needs to be updated.
Now, when we take a look at the air flight system, whatever you call it here in the United States, we haven't seen many advances at all. I mean, the same damn airplanes we were taking 20 years ago are the same damn airplanes that we're flying. Has there been any advancement in technology at all that the average person can see or recognize?
Well, I think the advancements that you're seeing are happening more in the cockpit, and it's behind the scenes that you're not seeing. Mm-hmm. So air travel is now safer because of the advancements in technology. As far as like the air traffic control systems, they've started updating them. They started back in 1997. I think they did another one in 2003 and then another one in 2013. So a lot of the safety features that you're seeing are not there for the plain general public to understand. Most people think, well, now I feel like I'm being crammed into a tube and shipped across the country, and now I don't feel safe. But if actually you got up in the cockpit, there's been advancements made that make these airplanes way safer than it was, say, 10 or 20 years ago.
Now, the Director of Transportation, Director Buttigieg, has been always a punching bag for the conservatives. But are we seeing enough money allocated by Congress to the Transportation Department to make the upgrades that we may need at airports?
Well, that's where they've always cut. And the old adage is that the FAA doesn't do anything until blood is spilled, right? Mm-hmm. And so that is, to blame the Transportation Secretary, I think, is a little bit improper. What you need to blame is Congress for not allocating the funds here to the actual FAA to do the upgrades, because there's a lot of experts. If you talk to the different unions, pilots unions, air traffic control unions, they push for these type of safety changes, but a lot of times it falls on deaf ears, and then it's not going to, you don't get the proper funding. So to hold this secretary responsible for 30, 40 years of, no one really listening, I think would be unfair. And some of that is just the politics as usual.
And when we take a look at the FAA, do we need to completely overhaul it, not as in new management, but new technology? You said what we're seeing here may be an antiquated system. But are there other antiquated systems that we don't know about? We're waiting on the bottom to fall out.
Well, I think what we saw with this notice to airmen system, that's one of them, right? I believe that there's a lot of different, the good thing about the aviation system is there's a lot of checks and balances, and there's a lot of redundancy. So even when you have these older systems, there's redundancy, and that's what keeps it together. On top of that, it's the amount of training that your experts, as far as air traffic controllers and pilots, have gone through that keep this system together. As far as the computer systems and the technology, I guarantee you once they start peeling back the layers on this, you're going to find out that there needs to be substantial upgrades within our system. But the people, the men and women at the FAA, the pilots, the air traffic controllers, trust me, they're always thinking safety first.
All right, Oliver Brown, former commercial pilot, and now if you get in trouble, he can defend you criminally as an attorney. Thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.